Okay, so this is my Empowering Cultural Voices, Professional Development by Jessica Nussbaumer. The professional development will be 3 hours long, okay? So the agenda for today for the professional development in order is that we are going to talk about our goals for the development. We are going to talk about key concepts in our development. We're going to have a discussion. We're going to have a community building activity, and we are specifically going to do human bingo. So get ready to get out of your seats and talking with other people around you. We're building a community in this classroom, okay? We're going to have another discussion. This is very discussion based. We're going to talk about inclusive literature selections in classrooms. And then we're going to have another discussion. We're going to check out pretty often. And then everyone in here is going to learn Spanish today. Okay. So get ready, strap in for this language lesson because you are learning Spanish today. So you don't have a choice. We are going to have an empathy building activity towards the end. And then the very last activity we are doing is self-reflection. Okay. So the goals of this professional development are we are hoping to bring SEL into the classroom, into every classroom of this community, okay, which SEL stands for social emotional learning. Social emotional learning is a big benefit in students. It has been shown in emotional learning and improvements in performance-based activities and tasks as well, okay? So we are hoping to affirm cultural identity in ELL specifically, and we are hoping to build confidence in students' abilities and culture within the classroom as well. Okay, so the key concepts that I find very important that everyone in here should know as they're coming in to the PD is funds of knowledge. Okay, so funds of knowledge is a theory by Moll, and it was done in 19. It was first discovered and talked about, theorized in 1992. That it's the idea that an educational setting can be used and viewed as a positive and realistic view of households as containing ample cultural and cognitive resources with great potential utility for classroom instruction. So, in other words, teachers are going to use specifically students' knowledge, already pre known knowledge and cultural awareness in the classroom in order to make them feel more confident and able in their ability to learn and gain knowledge. Okay. Another one that we're going to talk about is the sociocultural theory, which is theorized by Vygotsky in 1978. It's a positive correlation between a person's mental ability and their social learning environment. This is the idea that people learn best when engaging in social activity or interaction. So that means that oftentimes when people are learning together in a classroom and having the ability to be social, they're more able to retain information and also learn language in general. Okay. So those are going to be relevant for today's learnings. We've got two more key concepts, which one of them is translanguaging. Translanguaging can either be a space or a pedagogy, a way of a teacher, a space and an environment and atmosphere, or also a way of a teacher teaching. So their methods, their strategies, their things like that they're used in the classroom. Okay. It helps to maximize the learners and the teacher's linguistic resources in the process of problem solving and knowledge construction. So it kind of is more of an open-minded, very welcoming, kind, caring way of thinking of all different kinds of cultural differences and differences just between people in general. So it's all of those different kinds of ideas. It's also the ability to use whatever language, a student's ability to use whatever language they want within the classroom. And it's really just a focus on learning in general rather than just English, English, English. Okay. Effective filter is the last one that we're going to talk about right now, which is the theory by Krashen, which is a theory by Krashen in 1982, in which suggests the negative correlation in anxiety, stress, and a student's second language acquisition. So, in other words, when a student is more stressed and anxious in a classroom or environment, they're less likely to learn a language. Therefore, the more stressors the students encounter in the environment, the less likely they are to learn the target language. Okay. So, in other words, our whole goal of this school is for ELLs and students who are learning English to actually learn English. So, all of these abilities are going to be helping us within the classroom and really allow us to make a prosperous classroom when we foster and we use these techniques and methods. Okay. So the first discussion we're going to start with is when were you asked for your opinions or interest in a learning environment? So I want you to think back really far and think back to when you were in a school environment, when you were learning. When were you asked about your interests or opinions? And when was that going to be applied to the learning environment? Okay, so talk about that with your group. And I also, if you are done early, I want you to add on to that about how does this impact your learning? Okay. All right. So we're going to start with our human bingo community building activity. We are all going to be given a piece of paper, and it is going to be a bingo activity. Um, it's going to look like this. We are all going to have a activity and we're going to have to get up and out of our seats and we're going to have to talk to other people around us and we're going to have to learn things about them. Okay. So find someone in the room who fits the box description and write their name in the box. So I don't want you to just learn things about people. I want you to also introduce yourself, exchange names, talk about each other. Okay. So those are major activities right now. Let's get started. Okay. So find your seat again, please. I want you to sit back down and I want to bring this study all to our awareness. Okay. So Hellerman in 2009 did an investigative study of social interaction. So this is the socio-cultural theory that we talked about in the very beginning, that key concept. Within a classroom study, he conducted this investigative study, okay? And he discovered that when given a task-based classroom, so sitting, just working on the paper, not it's teacher focused, it's not getting up out of your seat, it's not socializing with other people, and a social-based interactive classroom, so a socio-cultural framework-based classroom. These students showed more advancements in the social community, as well as their performance in their classroom activities were also better. Okay, so they were a little bit further along in their language development rather than the task-based classroom. Okay, so this was a study that was actually done. So that's what we're starting to do. We're starting to build that community in this room, and we are going to be learning language together today. And because we built that community building, we are going to be learning this language even better. Okay. That is the goal for today. That is one of the goals for today. So building a community style classroom environment is so beneficial, so impactful, so important to allow students to get to know each other. Okay. This is super, super important that you allow the students to talk amongst each other and get to know each other as well as you in the classroom. It's going to create a better, welcoming, caring environment. Okay. So, our next discussion, I want you to turn to the person next to you and ask them what was one piece of literature that had a profound impact on you in your school environment. Okay. So, think back about what stories you maybe learned and read about in school and what emotions did this book invoke in you? How did the story make you see things around you differently or feel understood or seen? How did it impact you? Okay, so talk to someone around you about an important piece of literature to you during your school days. Okay. All right, so our next activity is the diverse literature selections in schools, okay? I want to show you the importance of showing diverse multicultural literature in the classroom because it can give cultural identity. It can improve and affirm cultural identity in all students. It can also give curiosity and confidence and empathy to students who don't actually identify with that cultural base that you're reading about, but it'll still give confidence, empathy, and curiosity to those students because as they're learning about these different cultural norms, okay, and perspectives. So these are four books that I have picked. I also have four more that I will introduce you to, and I want you to kind of just look through them a little bit and see what I have stated that their main goal about that book is, okay? So the name jar I identified as being a cultural identity and belonging book. The Arrival is an immigration and belonging book. I Am Malala, Malala, which is a courage and social justice book. Esperanza Rising is an empowerment and perseverance book. Okay, so keep that in mind if one of those really sticks out to you. The Paper Palace is a moral compass and decision-making book. Thank You, Mr. Falker would be a relationships building skills book. The Other Side is a social awareness and empathy building book. The Color of Us is a self-management and emotional regulation book. So these are all really great books to bring to your classroom as an example of diverse multicultural literature. Okay. So this is what I want to do. We have these four books on hand for us right now. We have a few different copies of each of them. And in your group in front of you right now, you are going to be reading this one of these books. Okay. You're not going to be able to choose, unfortunately, in the classroom setting. I would hope you would give the student a choice. However, you are not going to get a choice just for sake of time. Okay. So you're going to discuss and discuss with your group these provided questions. Oops. So what did you like or dislike about the book? What are the morals and themes of the book? What are the cultural differences seen in the book? What are the benefits of reading this in a classroom setting? Okay, so those are the four questions I want you to talk about with your group when you are done reading. Okay, I'm going to give you about 20 minutes to do this. It should not take that much time, but you have extra time if you need it. All right. If you are done early and you have extra time, I would recommend that you come to the front of the classroom and you grab one of these multicultural literature recommendations list because I have provided this resource for all of you. Okay, so it is broken up to about 10, actually goes up to 14 different books that are multicultural and very diverse for all of these different age groups. So please come up and grab your list when you are done with your reading. Okay, get started. All right, so let's come back together. All right, so diverse literature, especially multicultural literature, okay? It can be very, very beneficial for students' motivation, curiosity, and empathy. It shows an increased amount of these things while being engaged with this literature through specifically sociocultural framework. What is sociocultural framework again? Oh, okay, okay. So working with other people and socializing, social interaction, socializing with other people in the classroom, right? Specifically about these issues and cultures being read and cultures being read. Lee in 2024 analyzed the results of his research study with third graders as they read 14 different multicultural books, and this is the results that were shown amongst third graders. Okay. We also saw our own results as we were reading and as we were answering those four questions. Okay. Which I'm very curious, what were your answers to those questions? What were some different perspectives that we saw? Because there were 8 different books and we didn't all get to read them, right? So let's talk about that. Okay. our next discussion and we're coming back we're coming closer and closer to our language learning lesson. All right. So the next discussion, when was the last time you felt truly understood or comfortable in a learning environment? Please turn and talk with someone around you. How did this impact your learning? Okay. This is our Spanish lesson time. El lección de español. Vámonos. Vamos a aprender en español, solamente en español. Yo hablo solamente en español. Si tiene una pregunta, si no entiendo algo, si levante la mano, por favor, y yo pausa y continúa. ¿Ok? So, vámonos a aprender español. Este es un cuento sobre una persona, es una historia sobre una persona. Esa persona es un hombre, es un muchacho. Él es un muchacho. El muchacho cuando llegó a la escuela, va a la escuela en los Estados Unidos. Y el muchacho, el niño en la escuela en los Estados Unidos, no entiendo nada, no entiendo, no entiendo nada, no entiendo, es muy confundido, es muy confundido, no entiendo. Lo que dicen los maestros, los no entiendo, porque él hablo español, solamente hablo en español. Y los maestros hablo en inglés. Los maestros hablo en inglés, solamente en inglés. Me siento nervioso. El niño es muy nervioso. El niño es muy nervioso, es muy nervioso, es un poco solo y me siento muy solo. No tiene algo amigos, no tiene algo personas otras en la escuela para ayudarme, ¿ok? So, pero cuando escucho a otros estudiantes hablan, otros estudiantes, no es él, pero otros estudiantes hablan en español, el chico, el chico, me siento mejor, sí, me siento muy mejor y feliz, ¿sí? Se es como tener una parte de casa conmigo. Es una parte de mi casa de español. Hablo en español, es un parte de mí, es un parte de mi español, es mi cultura. Sí, poco a poco, empiezo a aprender inglés, aprender inglés, poco a poco. El chico puede hablar un poco en inglés, sí, aprender en inglés, pero siempre Siempre pienso en español primero. Piensa solamente en español primero. A veces escribo tus ideas en español antes de traducirlas. Eso me ayuda a entender mejor y se me siente más segura. Es feliz el hombre. Sí. Es mejor que aprender inglés y español juntos en la clase, juntos. Es mejor. Y el niño se ayuda a los maestros, sí, con español. So let's do a little check-in. Vámonos a chequear a cómo se siente a cómo se siente a tu affective filter, a tu filtro efectivo. ¿Cómo es? ¿Cómo es? So, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás a ti? ¿Cómo te sientes? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Entiende a mí? ¿Entiende? Si puede hablar en inglés, pero yo hablo en español. Puede hablar en inglés. ¿Cómo estás? La primera pregunta aquí. ¿Aprendiste algo nuevo? ¿Aprendiste algo nuevo? El número dos. El segundo pregunta. ¿Aprendiste algo nuevo? Prestante atención todo el tiempo. Prestaste atención todo el tiempo. So, I want to pause. What did we understand? That's what I asked. How do you feel? What do you understand? And did you check out at all? Did you just say, I'm done. I can't do this anymore? Did you learn anything new? Any new Spanish words? Very exciting. All right, so that was an example of an extreme case. I wanted to give you an example of what perhaps an ELL student feels coming into an all English speaking classroom. Of course, I used pictures, I used gestures, I slowed my speech. How often do you actually do these things in your classroom? Do you provide pictures all the time? Do you slow your speech? Do you underline words? Do you use gestures to help these students, or do you just run through your lesson and go as fast as you can? Because how much of that would you have understood if I didn't have pictures? If I didn't use my hands or slow my speech? How much of that would you have understood? Okay. So translanguaging space is in the middle of those two. It's showing English, it's showing Spanish, it's allowing the student to use whatever makes them feel comfortable. And it's also where the teacher is having an having an understanding of the student needs visuals, the student needs gestures, they need different understanding. If the student is confused and doesn't understand something, you need to slow down, you need to change your speech, you need to change what you're doing, because the goal of that is for them to learn, whether that be in English or Spanish or whatever other language that they're learning or know. Okay. So Zhang in 2024 conducted a study within an English classroom in China about emotions towards learning. The students showed major negative emotions towards an English only speaking classroom environment and showed a positive environment and showed positive emotions when they were able to speak and use their own common tongue in class. So I'm sure that when you first sat down for this professional development, and I told you you were going to be learning Spanish, you probably got nervous. You probably had no idea what was going to be expected of you. You probably had no idea what was going to happen. But you probably felt a little bit more comfortable when I continued on the rest of the PD speaking English. Made you feel more confident. If you have a mix between the two, you allow them to speak English, you allow them to speak the common tongue or their native language, their language one. This student is going to, their affective filter is drastically going to drop. Does anyone remember in that key concepts in the very beginning of the professional development, what I said, and a decreased affective filter will do for these students? It will help raise and increase and improve their language learning ability, which overall is what we all want for them, right? We want their English to get better. Okay. Taimori in 2022 also conducted a study analyzing the impact of passion, motivation, and positive emotions on language learning. So not only does their affective filter decrease, but their positive emotions also should increase in order for their performance to raise and improve, right? This study proved that the positive correlation in students with passion, motivation, and positive emotions about this culture, language, and a community increased their ability in language learning, right? That's huge. So I have an empathy building activity for us to do. I need you to get out of your seats. And we are going to be wandering around reading different empathy building scenarios around the classroom. Okay. So in this room, there are different scenarios posted on the walls. I want you with your partner to walk about the room, read the situation or scenario that is being presented to you, and discuss what you are seeing in the scenario. What perhaps if you were the teacher would you do differently? Please answer the guiding questions also attached. Okay, I'm going to give you about 10 minutes. I've got a timer right here. Get started. All right. The very end of the professional development is a self-reflection. So I want you to please self-assess. This is not being graded. This is not being collected. It is not for me. It is for you. Okay. Do you currently engage in these activities in the classroom? Give yourself a star rating. Do you engage with these activities? This might look like you taking time to build community in the beginning of the school year or when a new student comes in. You provide multicultural literature. This may also look like you encouraging students to express their own culture, traditions, and languages while learning. What is your star rating that you are going to give yourself? Please rate. Okay, another self-reflection. I have three more questions for you. How might you change your teaching after this professional development? Is there anything in this professional development that you might have seen that you're like, I would love to apply that to my classroom? Is there something you may add or alter to your lessons, mindset, or classroom in general after seeing this professional development? And how was this professional development helpful to you? Okay, beautiful. All right, these are my references, and I don't have anything left for you. So you have a great rest of your day.